Hey guys, it's TRIZE here, back with Automation, the car company Tycoon game, and what you're seeing right now is one of my latest builds called the BeamNG.drive CS. This Japanese imported sports coupe may seem like your typical quirky two-seater, but you can obviously see what's been done to it. It all started when some dude from Michigan, hence the license plate, decided that he wanted to join the Camber club by adding positive camber, then negative camber. I made a negative camber car in the past with the Daihatsu Mira in the past, you want to check that video out. Anyways, I'll explain the details of this car throughout this portion of the video. It has a lap time of 1 minute 31 seconds, 36 milliseconds at the quote-unquote Top Gear test track, and 2 minutes 30 seconds, 46 milliseconds at the automation track. It has a top speed of 172 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 in 6.55 seconds. This vehicle is powered by a 2.7-liter inline-6 engine that produces 197.2 horsepower and 179.9 pounds-feet of torque. It has a fuel efficiency rating of 23.6 miles per gallon and weighs 2,345.6 pounds, which equals to 1,064 kilograms. And now, let's go over the specs of this vehicle. In terms of how I made the BeamNG.drive CS, the panel material will be made out of partial aluminum with a monocoque chassis made out of regular steel, with a front longitudinal engine placement, and the front suspension uses a McPherson strut, and the rear suspension uses a double wishbone suspension. For the engine, it's an inline-6 engine made out of cast iron with the bore set to 85 millimeters, and the stroke is set to a 79 millimeters, which gets the engine size to 2,690 cubic centimeters, or roughly 2.7 liters, with a single overhead cam 4-valve made out of aluminum. For the balance shaft, we're required to have a harmonic damper built in to reduce the chances of the crankshaft exploding. And for the internals, we got ourselves a forged steel crankshaft with cast comm rods and hypereustatic cast pistons to improve the MPG rating of this vehicle, and the engine too. For the compression, it is set at a 9.5 to 1 ratio at a fairly normal setting, with the cam profile set to a 45, just 5 clicks up, and the springs and lifters 6 clicks up to a 56. For the fuel system, we're using a multi-point EFI injection with a single throttle setup of a standard mid-intake running on regular fuel, with the fuel mixture set to a 14.9 at a full-blown lean setting almost. The ignition timing set to a 62, and the RPM limit is set at 7,000 RPM. And lastly, for the exhaust everything, so we got ourselves some tubular headers of a single exhaust because it's an inline engine, with the exhaust diameter set to a 69.8 millimeters, which equals to 2.75 inches. And the catalytic converter we're using is a simple 3-way with a reversible first muffler, and the second one is a straight through, which gets us to final power rating as you see, 197, almost 180 in torque. And real briefly, give me here this engine right now. Not a 2JZ, but it'll do it right there. Heading over to the second half of this vehicle here, so for the drive type, we got ourselves a rear drive setup of a manual 5-speed with the top speed set to 174.4 miles per hour. And according to the wheelspin graph, we got considerable amount in the first gear, but not so much in the second gear, which that's a little below average, but whatever. And on top of trimming the wheelspin just a tad, we got ourselves the viscous LSD, which brings us down like a few percent, right? Oh, considerably. In open diff, 15.6%, viscous, 8%. Well, in BeamNG is a whole different story because of this camber issue. And real briefly, the camber, just saying this right now, it just hit me. In the open beta version of version 4.2, you go to the fixture setting and click on this gear that gives you the advanced trim settings. And if you scroll down here, for the front wheels, I set the front wheels to 45 degrees plus camber for the front and rear wheels. So you can see here, go to 0. No, that's 5 degrees in the front. So 5 degrees in the front, -5 versus, well, you gotta keep scrolling up. Or just type the number 45. and you're done. Looks ridiculous, but whatever. So for the tires, we're using some radial hard long life tires for the front and rear tire with each set to 205mm front and back, running on some 15-inch alloy rims. For the brakes, we're using some solid disc 2-piston brakes with the size set to 290mm in the front, and oh boy, I just noticed. Since the camber, the wheel is at a plus camber, it actually is still flush with the brake line. Like you can see here, that's my brakes, and this is where the wheel is pointing downward. This is stupid. And with the rear brakes, it's a drum single shoe with its size set to 280mm. And the under tray, fully cut under tray, airflow at a 20 for the brakes, who even cares. Interior of this vehicle. So the interior is fairly decent, even though the back end, rightfully ignore this, I kind of suck at making the back end for these types of cars. So the interior, pretty good, got some cup holders, got all this good stuff. So a sport interior with a standard cassette player, and it's also a 2-seater, as you can obviously tell. And for the safety and everything, we got ourselves a variable hydraulic power steering with ABS brakes and standard issue 1980s standard safety standards. And lastly, for the suspension of this vehicle, we got some progressive springs with gas-mounted 2 dampers, and our only option, a pass of sway bars, running on a normal preset with the camber zeroed out for the front and the rear. And then, of course, applying this camber in the advanced trim settings in the fixture setting right here, which I showed you earlier. Despite having a half a dozen problems with this vehicle, such as the dampers being too hard, wheel spin issues, clearance issues, front and rear tires being pretty wide, and some brake fade issues, let's head on over to BeamNG.drive and impress some people over Japan and, well, in car culture for ridiculous campers. So take it there right now. So here we are at the map of West Coast, USA, and taking a brief look at this vehicle. Well, what the hell happened to the rear end? Even though this is supposed to be some like stained red brake lights up in here, we got the turn signals exposed here, some separate bulbs here, including the rear brake lights. Rear brake lights, please. Yeah, so these are the rear brake lights, both individual bulbs, and these individual bulbs for the reverse lights, and of course, dedicated reverse lights by the license plate, like your Crown Vic and the Skyline. So a fairly weird outcome for the brake lights, as you see here. Kind of weird. And look at elsewhere about the vehicle. As you can see here, extreme camber as so. As I steer left, we dip. And as I steer right, we dip also. So as we're about the vehicle, simply designed for the front end. Good running headlights you can see here. And I believe the back. Oh yeah, the light of God, the reverse lights. I mean, why? I mean, these are headlights, but I turn them into reverse lights. God damn it, game. So yeah, fairly decent, fairly simple sports cars we got here. It's not the world's best creations, but it'll do for a Japanese sports car with an inline-6 engine that's fairly powerful. So right now, with this part of the video, I'm going to give you the basic performance test with this here vehicle. Our 3 tests we'll be doing is a 0 to 62 acceleration test, followed by a 62 to 0 brake test, and lastly, a top speed run, which I guarantee with this vehicle, it's not going to make it whatsoever. This stupid amount of camber with a very, very high top speed for an inline-6 engine, just bet on it, it's not going to work. So get ready to accelerate right now. Accelerate. Wheel spin. Drifting to the right all of a sudden. Wheel spin into second, and frickin' BeamNG upshift to downshift. And can we make the toll booths? Barely made it at a 0 to 62 in 10.89 seconds of 566.38 feet. I almost said 5,000. I'm dumb. So accelerating off the bat, yeah, we have to keep this car, have to keep it in a straight line. We're drifting left and right up in here. What will cruise control do if I do the brake test? So cruise control is acting just as fine. So go to realistic gearbox and brake now. Brake. Braking. Bopping in the tires at 62 to 0 at 3.37 seconds of 150.32 feet. Time-wise, that is pretty bad. Distance-wise, seems a little mediocre. So for top speed run, already in effect, we got a better 0 to 62 time because we've seen off camera, well, I've done off camera, was a freaking launch. Oh my god. So I launched the car, got a second better for a 0 to 62. Not bad. And we're going 100 miles an hour. This is very dangerous for a positive camber vehicle. Negative camber, same thing. Positive, I think this is even worse. 110. We're barely accelerating. If the car's camber would have been like the usual 1 degree, 2 degrees in the front and back, then we would already do something like that and really get this car apart. And it wasn't really at the end, but let me get you to the end and get a high-speed crash test going. So car, debris all over the place, the car completely messed up. Still in 4th gear at the place that I crashed out at 122 miles an hour. We're barely increasing, so no, top speed run was a fail. Crashed the gantry up ahead, so drift. Look, barely turn the wheel and I'm drifting. I think I'm gonna miss. No, I think I'm gonna barely hit it, so 6 times slow-mo, go. No, I missed! I I freaking missed. Are you kidding me? Full time. Oh boy, that crashed right there. So I barely missed a gain streak by like a couple inches. I scraped it, but I barely missed it like a full-blown impact. Engine is still running somehow. Are you kidding me? Oil starved. Flip this upright and really show you the aftermath of this destruction of the vehicle. So we got the vehicle, we got the camber, even worse back up in here. This is off the ground, this is still on the ground, and this is still on the ground. So 3 of the 4 tires are still on the ground, and the engine is exposed. So we got the freaking, what? The airbox completely exposed. If this is exposed, it shouldn't run. Are you kidding me, man? Alright, next up, we're going to be doing a time trial run here at Hirochi Raceway with the short race circuit with this here vehicle doing 2 laps in the afternoon hours with a rolling start. So take it there to the starting line of this here racetrack right now. So here we are at the final turn and near the final straightaway here with this here track. Nothing else to add, complain anything about it, so get ready to start things off here and ready, go. Nice. Right on cue. I should probably hit this drift here while I'm at it. Damn! Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nice. I think I should probably call this a drift car than a tuned out, what the hell is this type of friggin' sports car? How about a simple corner? Drift. I should do realistic gearbox because the friggin' BeamNG upshifting and downshifting is a pain in the ass right now. Look at that. Sick drift. Beat that, Honda. Alright, this corner. Bad luck. I should probably just drive it as is and then just like horse around later on. Even though I got another lap, but I should just probably just stay focused, stay concentrated, and thank God for steering, stay healthy. At least the car brakes okay, but the steering is a whole different story. I think with the Daihatsu Miura, I made that like a couple years ago, roughly. I made it under the Miss Jacket 000 days, my old channel, and unfortunately went oof by YT and your girl Susan with G.Skill. But I still got the video from like, I believe early 2021 or late 2020, something like that, where I made a Daihatsu Miura replica and put negative camber on that bad boy. And the handling, I believe this was like more oversteering or understeering? I think it was more understeering. This is like oversteering, if I'm right or wrong, if I can recall that correctly. And a drift. Shell drift angle. Damn, for a shell drift angle, not bad. And lack of steering because I don't want to oversteer. We're in the grass. From the wacky car builds I've been doing recently from, well, the Daihatsu Miura, the frickin' Chevrolet Del Rio monster truck based off the Monte Carlo and El Camino Wipe It Out. Shut up, tire. You're not in a horror movie. So from that car, the Del Rio, and this car, I'm pretty much on the right track of making stupid car builds for the next couple weeks or something. Well, I'm still in the works designing a couple semi-wacky and never-been-done car builds of automation BeamNG.drive is one, a front-wheel drive mid-engine sports car, and another one is a rear-steering vehicle, like the tires steer from the rear, not the front like you see here, steering in the front, it steers in the back like a forklift or something. Which I don't know how to make a rear-steering vehicle work. Is it like swapping the front suspension, the steering, like code everything and put it to the back or what? Because the rear suspension is supposed to be like super duper solid and the front not so much because it's got to make some lay room for the steering and everything. So coming up to the final line, we got this lap time of 1 minute 48 seconds, 13 milliseconds of a total time of 3 minutes 37 seconds, 987 milliseconds. Pretty bad, but it's understandable because, well, positive camber and a racetrack don't mix. So go to free roam and find a place to crash out to at a medium to mid-high speed. While I do that sick-ass drift, and mash the front end up with a radiator leaking. Nice. Imagine if this would have been all-wheel drive, friggin' rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive combined to make something like this. Everything as is. The dashboard, the seats exploded. Impact detected stopping car for a 1991 vehicle? Are you kidding me? I don't think a single safety feature was ever made with the frickin' impact detected stopping car and the hazards going off because impact detected stopping car. I mean, you can't get anything for a car like that, so rear unscathed, right side, there's damage, front end, oh yeah, left side, also oh yeah. So to wrap things up, let's commit some camber brutality by taking this bad boy, if I could find it, to Brutal Slope 2.0 and continue the saga of making things worse for vehicles by adding positive or negative camber. So take it there to the top of the ramp right now. So here we are at the top of this big boy, this big ass ramp that's probably like a mile long or something. So accelerate, get down here to the top of the ramp, the very top, add first gear to second gear, better 0 to 62, technically 63 at 5.04 seconds at 224.40 feet. Not too bad, pretty great, and a lot faster than this car. Fifth gear, wait for the top speed, Top speed as so, drifting to the right. Wait for the over rev risk to kick in. 195 to 200 miles an hour. Still over rev risk. There we go, now over rev risk. So the bottom of the ramp. 217 at the bottom. Still stable. And the speed. 140 miles an hour at the very top at our dismount as we fly down and hit the brakes to really make things worse, right? And sort of, it started to level out and slow things down to a 60 times slow-mo, get a free camera going, and wow, nice reaction times. So 100 times slow-mo, confirmed, for unfreeze physics, and here we go over the front end. Boom, there goes the front. All the pop-up headlights, all that good stuff, all the 90s and 80s styling, that's been pretty much destroyed. And here goes all the seats, the dashboards, the tires, and everything else in general just crinkling up, so 8 times slow-mo. Go to regular cam, and the clutch pedals, gas pedals, all that stuff, more trim pieces, all that stuff, full time. And as so, roll it over. There goes the tire. Not the tire, that's all the freaking debris of this car that's scattered all over the place, and that's a tire. I was almost right at first, but now I'm right. So with this vehicle, of course, the engine is destroyed because the main engine is broken from distant collision with the transmission, and the tie rods are just out of place, man. So this vehicle mangled up to a pulp to the point where we're shifted up in here, and the vehicle crinkled up, and the engine, the engine is inside the freaking interior. So instead of the engine right here, we shifted this bad boy like a foot and a half, maybe up like, no, not a foot and a half, maybe like 2-3 feet into the cabin. God damn, man, that's pretty bad. Alright, for the final part of this video, let's skateboard ourselves to the top of the hill to get ourselves going down and crash ourselves into a square block, aka the wedge thingy, which you basically wedge yourselves in, do a high-speed crash to get an interesting wedge-shaped look of your vehicle. And we're flying through all the gears to get our top speed, beyond our top speed 190, then we're going off-centered, get myself on-centered, and really center ourselves. 221. I recovered at the end, 221, but we're gonna slow ourselves down quite a bit, hide the UI, and go. Reset the FOV just a tad, and I believe camera is good now. Good now. Here we go. There goes the front. There goes the rest of the vehicle. Up to the rear tires. There goes the seats just casually floating upwards. I mean, look how gracefully these are, like, rising up off the ground, or through the car, and the steering wheel, the dashboard, everything else in general, so full time. God damn, son. So all the rest of there's the seats. Just bouncing along. Bang, bang. They hit the wall right here, and so that seat's gone. This seat's right here. Okay, that's interesting. So that seat's gonna keep toppling and tumbling. Let's just F-center right here and get the seat to tumble down even further. Where's it at? We'll have no signs of it, so whatever. So back to the vehicle. So the vehicle, well, we got a wedge-shaped look of the vehicle. We got this here corner, and then comes down right here, and then flattens out right here too for the bottom. And elsewhere, rear end, well, messed up. Left side, definitely messed up. Right side, still messed up. And the front end, well, see, the headlights still work. Yes, they do, including the auxiliary bottom lights, too, like some cars had with the pop-up headlights. You got your main pop-up headlights, and these, like, on the bottom where the turn signals are at, if you can barely see, right here, where my turn signals at, where my mouse is at, right here. And on a side note, all the freaking, like, car parts for the interior are, like, in a line here. Are you kidding me, man? This is weird. So that'll do it with automation and BeamNG.drive with the Ripjaws 200 CS. If this car had the proper camber tuning, then this would be decent of a sports coupe with an inline-6 engine making roughly 200 horsepower. And a side note with the 200 CS, where the 200 came from, that's 200 metric horsepower, which it equals to a 197.2 imperial horsepower. So a decent performing car, horrible in handling because with the positive camber, well, regular camber, this wouldn't be a problem whatsoever. So kids, if you want to make a positive camber car or eventually a negative camber car, don't do what I did. Stick to regular cambers. Maybe some extreme camber could be okay, but this level, don't do it. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future. And also check out my social media down in the description below. So this is TRIZE rising up and signing out.